to welcome Smitha Gopinath. She is Head of Bengaluru Department of Retail and Customer Management (RCM), that is within Travel Channels R&D division at Amadeus Software Labs India Private Limited, Bengaluru. She is passionate about all aspects in the arena of digital transformation and customer centricity. Today, she'll be speaking on testing strategies for digitally transformed customer experience. You can know more about her in the link for this video. Over to you, Smitha.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me today. Let me quickly share my screen. Okay, I hope everybody can see my screen. Hello everyone. Today I'm very happy to be amidst all of you and I'm very delighted to share some of my thoughts on the testing strategies for digitally transformed customer experience. Now, when we talk about customer experience and customer centricity, today this is the golden rule. Customer centricity is the new norm. By 2020, there was a prediction that customer experience will overtake price and product as the key differentiator. I think given the pandemic circumstances in the past 1 year, as we are wrapping up, the year now, we all can safely say that yes, we as customers ourselves, we have placed customer experience beyond all other things, especially when it came to essential services, when it came to safety, etc. 86% of the customers are ready to pay more for a better customer experience. And there is about almost half the customer population who would switch brands if they feel that things are not personalized for them. And you can almost see that there is 3 times more return on investment for every $1 that you invest in customer experience. Now this is significant insight. And keeping this in background, we can look at things all around us, right? Everyone's talking about it. Customer experience is the next competitive battleground. Everybody is writing about it. Pick any of the key research insights, reports, HBR, Gartner, PwC, so on. All big brands are acting upon it. And we, all of us here, are trying to understand and internalize why customer centricity is the need of the hour and is going to be the need of the hour for the foreseeable future. So we are all living it. Right. And today, if you see, the landscape has entirely changed. Gone are the days when there was mass marketing products that was built for a huge set of people and products that lasted for a long time, right? Years, there was one version of the product that would last for years. But today, customers want connection. Customers want to be very close to the brands, to the enterprises. They expect proximity. They expect intimacy. Their needs vary over a spectrum. Now, if their needs and expectations have to be met at every interaction, then we have to put all our focus on the customer. We have to proactively engage and meet with them. And in return, we can expect customers to give us their stickiness and brand loyalty. Now, how do we kind of, enter into this era of customer obsession, right? So today we know that customer interacts through multiple touch points. It's omni-channel everywhere, always on. People want real-time services. Every time people expect us to be future ready and, keep up with the fast changing environment and of course their changing needs. There needs to be a very strong momentum of engagement amongst the customers, with the customers, and they want us to build them a very authentic and seamless experience and cater to all of their needs and through all means of touch points that they are expecting. And it's more prevalent today than before. Now, how do we put the customers at the center of all our endeavors, right? Customers want authentic experiences. They want faster, high responsive, agile, really consistent experiences. And the key is digital transformation. Now, digital transformation is embracing all new digital things, the emerging technologies that we know of today, the whole 9 yards of AI, ML, blockchain, IoT, cloud, automation, all of this. And also to ensure that we bring digital into every scope of experience that the customer is expecting to have with our brands, with our products, our services, and with our enterprises. So we can say digital transformation is the new order. So we have 2 golden rules today. Customer centricity is the new norm and the digital transformation is the new order. So digital no longer is just a technology. I think a few years back, at least 5 years back, when it started strongly emerging out as a priority for many companies, they treated this as a cost center, they treated this as a portfolio or business unit. But now it has become a key strategic differentiator for every organization. It has become a revenue generator, it has become a cost saver and a productivity play. Now, these technological capabilities are constantly evolving and continuously improving, and it means that we have to catch up in a faster pace in order to endure and last. And we also must be able to pick up something new that is coming, unforeseen situations like the situation we are all in this year. So we have to be really ready and be available for the customers during what they need, how they need, and match up with their expectations. Now, when we talk about digital transformation, there are many dimensions to it, but today let us just focus on testing. Testing is an essential catalyst to any digital transformation effort. Today, my friends, I would like to introduce a term called as value assurance. I know all of us here are very familiar with quality assurance, but value assurance is a new term. And today we'll see, this term kind of coming up throughout the rest of the presentation and how it can be a part of the strategy for digital transformation and customer centricity. Now, what is value assurance at a high at a high level? It means that integrate assuring value right from the ideation stage till adoption and beyond. So usually what we see, quality assurance is expected to come a little later in the cycle when the product is being conceived or a service is being developed. We don't see this coming very ahead of time, especially during the idea phase, etc. So value assurance is going to be there. Ideate test, design test, build test, implement test, launch test, and repeat, so on. Quickly, what are the connecting dots? So we know digital transformation is embracing all the emerging technologies. They enable this digital transformation. Digital transformation enhances customer centricity. Customer centricity entails for all of these best practices, especially here I have called out some of the testing best practices that we have. And in turn, these testing best practices empowers customer centricity, which fuels digital transformation. So this is a cycle, the value assurance cycle keeps going round and round around these connecting dots. Now, quickly to move, how do we sort of set up a new paradigm for this sort of value assurance testing strategy? We need to move testing from inside out to outside. And I'd like to just pause here for a second and explain this. Usually what happens is we build a lot of test strategies within an organization for the products, for the services. But today we have to start looking from outside. Hey, this is how the market is changing. This is how the customer is reacting to something in the market. This is how our product can cater to the customer. So we need to bring those insights in and build a test strategy around it. Of course, all our narratives that are being tested has to have a human touch and empathy. Today, more and more people are bent towards experiences. People neither want a service nor a product, they want experiences, right? And every aspect has to be explored very thoroughly. Continuous feedback has to be a part of the system. And of course, there needs to be a focus on relevance, reliability, and responsiveness. Now, testing strategy must also be all-inclusive. It has to include both qualitative and quantitative analysis. It is very important to have stories, narratives, feelings, anecdotes, and so on. The contextual anecdotes provide the best understanding of why a product must be built. And this question, why, has to be a burning question right from the time when you conceptualize an idea, right from the time an idea is born till the end, where when I say end, it means the product is launched, adopted, and then you keep asking, why are people still using it? Why would people still want to keep this product, or why not? What else can change? And quantitative analysis is all about data, numerical analysis, insights, right from prescriptive, descriptive, predictive analysis. All of these trends and insights will help us make key decisions and will show us how a product has to be built, right? At every phase, you have to ask, how do I build it for a better reach? How do I build it for a better embracing by the customers? How do I build it for better quality, better performance? Now, there are some guiding principles when we want to transform testing for digital transformation. So first of all, place your customer at the center. This goes without saying. And, we have to ensure that extensive assessment of if your customer is at the center of all your endeavors is done again and again, validated, against ideas, prototypes, features, overall products. And even after the product is built, what is the customer reaction 1 year down the lane, 2 years down the lane? Of course, automation and continuous testing. Automation is your new best friend. You have to embrace automation at every phase. Speed is the new currency. Cloud and service virtualization, which have been there for a while now, and it is kind of getting better and better as we speak, are your new enablers. So these are the three things that you should not let go of at all. And of course, evolve, adapt, stay relevant. We need to reinvent, we need to innovate, we need to make sure that we're testing for more and more scenarios, we're picking up more data. Now today, when you come to AI and ML landscape, testing takes a whole different new meaning, which means we are now putting more scenarios in place. We start tweaking, how do we think, how do we make something perform better, and how do we sort of vet out what if scenarios, why not scenarios, and so on and so forth. Now, I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with the Dan Nestler's Double Diamond framework. Basically, what this framework says is doing the right thing and doing the thing right. So we have 4 phases in it: discover, define, develop, and deliver. And the value assurance must span across all of these phases, from generation to implementation and adoption. Now let's see how it happens. So let's look at doing the right thing. Of course, yes, let's see how do we do it right? Discover and define. Now, first is the discover phase. So discover phase, what are the testing strategies and tools? When we talk about discover, it's all through the idea phase. We kind of are understanding the market. We're understanding what is the need. So a bunch of things that we can do, like simulation testing, create mock personas, create mock data creation, understand how it is going to work, simulate a market situation. Feasibility testing, validate your idea, do POCs, do prototypes, look at customer trends, compliance needs, etc. Test for relevance, validate against competition, validate against past user-generated feedback, analytical insights, etc. And finally, do extensive MVPs, do customer previews, go do technology previews, POCs with the customer, do prototype testing. A quick case study. This is a device called as Twitter Peak. It was launched in 2009, and it was designed to just send and receive tweets. It didn't even give the 140 character preview. It would only give 20 character preview. Now, can you imagine 2009 was a time when smartphone was slowly coming out. There was touch phones everywhere. People were anticipating 3G and 4G to come along very soon. And this very idea of this Twitter device would nullify everything else that is coming up, right? This was a huge flop. It goes without saying. I'm sure none of us owned this device or even heard of it. Many of us didn't even hear of it at that time. Now, there were, there were other devices where, there were dedicated music players and stuff which had better value, but who is going to carry another device for Twitter Peak, right? Now here, a discovery phase value assurance would have ensured that Twitter understood that this device was of no use, because somebody who's doing a value assurance knows the customer already better, has understood the market, has understood the needs, has understood the end user, and would say, hey, nobody is going to invest in it. Coming to define phase. So define phase, we have various strategies. I've just called out 3 here. For example, behavior-driven testing. For all cases, the QA team has to work very closely with the PMs. Usually, many organizations, we don't see this at this phase, but each and every use case that a PM is coming up, every epic, every story that a PM is creating, I think should be vetted out with a QA who understands all the actors, the personas, the phases, the kind of use cases that will emerge out of what is being told. Likewise, for negative scenario behavior testing, where unlikely scenarios and unexpected input data and conditions. Now, this can be done at a later phase as well, but it is important to also vet it out right at the beginning, saying that there are some features which is moot point. Even you develop it and we test it is a waste of time, right? And then you have in the design phase, both high level, low level designing, have tests for preferences, semantics, competition, user reactions, user behaviors, use various data sets in mock scenarios, sort of look for design flaws. And today, test-driven design is also very, very popular. And so this has also become something like, merge, lot of, test situations, and then, create hybrid design testing, vet out those things that doesn't make sense at the design phase. So quick case study, I'm not going to read all of the text here, but you have all used Ola. So usually what happens is after you board your ride, if you close this app and you don't use this app for 10 days or 15 days, when you open the app for a new cab booking, it suddenly pops up a feedback screen saying, how was your ride? Now, 15 days, 1 month, you've not used the app, you've forgotten who drove you. You cannot give feedback about your driver. It asks about the cleanliness of the car, blah, blah, blah. So most of the label data that they collect, which is being used for their ML, training, all of that feedback is moot point, because I usually either mark all 3 or all 5 just to get rid of the screen, right? Now, if you had somebody, a value assurance person sitting with the PM team when they're defining this feedback feature, then this experience could have been designed differently. Now, today, all of the data that they're collecting is totally wrong. Now coming to the next two, doing the thing right, develop and deliver. Of course, let's see how we do it. Now develop phase, there are a lot of things that we can do. Like I called out, continuous testing and automation is your new best friend. Integrate automation from the unit testing phase all the way through, your integration and even user acceptance testing wherever possible. Kind of use continuous delivery principles, use DevOps, make sure that, all kinds of other testing is also included, like API testing, your cloud testing, microservices, so on and so forth. Non-functional testing, it goes without saying that, it's very important to test for all of the non-functional attributes, and we need to make sure that all of this is working fine. Today, there are a lot of model-based testing scenarios are also being done. Basically, predictions against a model, especially when I called out AI, ML, and robotic processes. These sort of model-based testing is very prevalent there. And of course, exploratory testing with the use of emerging technologies. We need to fail fast, we need to recover fast, we need to create hypotheses. We need to look at bite-sized functionalities and quickly churn things out for a faster experimentation and faster time to market. So exploratory testing becomes more and more important. And of course, there are many, many more kinds of testing that I am unable to cover today. Now, a case study, COVID in 2020, you all know that retailing is something which grew. If you see the penetration, the 10 years growth in 3 months was what was seen in 2020. It goes without saying, right? We were all in a lockdown. We kind of dependent on the e-commerce to deliver things safely. So can you imagine a company like Amazon or Target or Walmart or whoever it is ready to kind of provide all these essential services with this sort of exponential growth? Unless they had been having a constant focus on testing right from the beginning. They had all performance testing done. They had every scenario vetted out. They knew, new features won't fail. What are the faster new features that can be built for some scenario like this? How can they quickly test? How can they keep putting things into production? I don't think this would have been possible at all. But we know that all of the e-commerce companies stepped up for this game. And I think all of us have been happy with the kind of e-commerce services that we have made use of. So this goes to say how important testing is, how important quality is, scalability is, and how constant focus on testing will help plan ahead for such unique situations in the future. Now, lastly, the deliver phase. When you actually deliver a product, you do all kinds of testing. So there are multi-focus test strategy. One is end user focused. So you have A/B testing, you have usability testing. There are something market focused, which is customer adoption and consumption, usage pattern testing. There is value focused, which has alpha beta testing, design validation, verification, performance engineering. And finally, there is future focused testing, which has customer feedback, analytics, preferences, etc. So if you take a case study, Amazon, I used to work for Amazon before. So Amazon uses a concept called as web lab on all of the products that they release. So this web lab is an important strategy. So if you look at Amazon, they do multiple things, right? They have fulfillment, merchandising, tech, and marketing. They have a $120 billion core, and they are always inventing. They have this fantastic enterprise which does high-end innovation and research. But these three, out of these three, this incremental improvements is one of the key strategy for them. So there is a constant focus on core business, they have focus on innovation, and they have focus on continuous and incremental enhancement. And this helps with that enhancements. And whenever there is a ever-changing market, customer needs are changing, Amazon is quick to scale up, quick to cope up, and come up with something new and different. So testing is not just a means to an end. Testing cannot be isolated and gone are the days when people said testing comes way at the end. It is not something that is done in the beginning. So testers have no act to do in the beginning of the development cycle. No, that's gone. Quality is a central strategy. This has been established over the past 10 years or more. But today what we have learned is value assurance has to be distributed from start to end. Value assurance has to be there all through. So what are the imperatives for value assurance? First mile to last mile coverage, right from the ideation to adoption and beyond, and how you are intimate with the customer, how you are establishing customer proximity and continuing the cycle. Test automation is your best friend. It's a gold standard. You can print out these bumper stickers, stick it everywhere. Invest in continuous testing, because today is the world of agility and responsiveness, and faster time to market is something that drives cost effectiveness. You have to accelerate and you have to keep reinventing the testing strategies and tools across various phases for various different things that you do. There is no longer one stitch fixes all. It has to be customized and tailored as we go. We need to identify bugs and defects much earlier, like some of the case studies that you saw. It is so difficult to fix the cost after you've done something, and after a while you realize that, oh, this is all coming wrong. And of course, a constant focus on quality and relevance in terms of customer first inputs, making sure customer is at the center of all your endeavors, making sure that all thorough user research, scenario validation, structural quality, test design, reusable test components, all of this is a part of the test strategy. And of course, faster feedback to the product and the business. So remember, test continuously. Test automation is very important, especially end-to-end test automation. Integrate into all phases. Do not restrict testing for some phases. Ensure that you create an organization full of value assurers, integrate them everywhere. And of course, use data wisely. Data is something that's going to help you formalize this strategy to a better result for a better performance. And the final takeaway, the testing strategy and quality focus throughout the entire arc of a customer experience through digital transformation initiatives is extremely crucial. It is your value differentiator. Right from the idea phase, from the conceptualization to market adoption and customer satisfaction, this is going to be something that will act as an enabler for a long time to come. Value assurance is a mindset. It's a continuum, and it is almost guaranteed to provide magical benefits. So if you believe that this is something that is going to help you, please take it back. Add it to your organization's efforts. Embrace digital transformation. Put customers at the center of everything that you do. Delight the customer and succeed. Thank you. And I'm very happy that I got an opportunity to share my thoughts here today. I'm happy to take any Q&A. And you can also reach out to me through these means in case you have more questions, or I'm happy to discuss on other topics as well. Thank you.
Smitha, we have received a question.
Yeah.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Yeah. So you can pick any of the questions.
Okay, I'll just quickly go from top to bottom. So Aditya, how do you keep customer at the center? Any strategies? I think I covered a bit of it in my presentation. Hello, can you keep the screen stable? Yeah, so basically, when I say keeping customer at the center, usually, when you start testing for a product, you get lost into the feature. You start looking at, okay, suppose you are looking at a mobile phone mobile phone screen, you just look at, how are the icons placed, how can you move things. You look at the feature just like that, but you don't wear the hat of a customer and look at it and think, hey, is the customer going to be frustrated looking at the screen? Is he going to be happy at 9 p.m. in the night versus being happy at 9 a.m.? Somebody might like the screen when they're fresh, when they're woken up and all, but towards the end of the day, they may not. So these are the kind of thoughts that you put in through narratives, through anecdotes. So you create user personas, you create all sorts of situations, and you evaluate these actors against those anecdotes, against those narratives, and then you kind of build a test strategy. So you can use a lot of strategy around exploration, around behavior, so on and so forth. Can you go back to the question screen?
I think that has been closed by moderator. We can take one question.
Actually, there is another tab on the top. You can flip it. No. On your same screen, there is a tab. Yeah, go back to it. Okay. Ritu, what are the best engineering practices you've seen at Amazon, especially when it comes to testing and QA? A lot of automation, Ritu. I cannot go in detail for a lot of reasons. One, because of time. Another thing, I'm not sure how much I can share, but they do a whole lot of testing and a lot of automation is in focus. Every phase is tested out. They don't wait for big bang testing. Small features, micro features are built and tested rapidly, and quickly feedback is provided to the development team. Quickly feedback is provided to the feature team, and testing starts much earlier in the cycle. So I hope that answered you. Can you scroll down, please?
Sure.
Karthik, parameters for assessment for the intended value to delivery. Now, this is something that you have to define for your own product, for your own enterprise. There is no such golden set of parameters. But typically, in one of the slides, I kind of showed you. Let me go back to that slide. You look at all the end users, the future, the value, the market. You sort of, look at all of this and decide what are the key KPIs, what are the success metrics that you want to define for the customer. If you take the example of Ola that I gave, for them, they really wanted feedback from the customer so they can feed into their machine learning models and kind of understand what's going wrong and how they build new features, right? Now, one of the KPIs that they defined is they want to kind of take user input and get to understand. So they would say, I need 3-point scale in terms of my value, I need 5-point scale, etc. So that is something very, very specific, and you can sort of create your own success metrics for the value to delivery. Sometimes it is feature, you can sometimes add performance to it. There are some startups which only deliver feature, even if their performance is not good, stability is not good, because they focus on getting the product out to the market. In the second phase, they say we will actually provide a much stable product. So they start focusing on response time, so on. Again, what is the time frame we should give to any product to get mature once the product is digitally transformed? Do we have any thumb rules for customer centricity? So thumb rule for customer centricity is to keep innovating, keep very close, be very close to the customer, right? Today, what we see, we all want to be customer focused, which means we try to stay close to customer to sell a product, right? But customer centricity means going beyond that. What do you mean by being intimate or proximal to a customer? That is, after you've sold the product, without having any motive to sell anything more. Say after 6 months, you bought a coffee table and you get in touch with that person and say, hey, I hope you're enjoying your coffee table. Here are some design arrangements on the coffee table. This is how you can arrange certain things. I hope you're enjoying it. Please let us know if the quality is up to your mark. You're not asking for any sale. You're not selling them. You're not telling them to come back and buy anything, but you're just saying, hey, how are you? Are you enjoying the coffee table, right? That is how you kind of embrace customer centricity. So it is constantly focusing on customers, constantly keeping an eye on the market. It is not like just shipping something out to the customer and then saying, hey, I'm done. I mean, it was well received in the first month. How do you know when the product gets matured? So when the product gets matured is, suppose you're like kind of building something, you're taking some user feedback and building some recommendation engine. It will take some time for it to get better and better. So you need to keep in touch with all kinds of teams, your support teams, your technology teams, your customers, to constantly get feedback. The more and more feedback you collect, more and more data you collect, you're going to get a story coming out of it. It is going to say people are frustrated, people are very happy. Technology team is going to say this is support intensive, it is crashing so many times. So you will be able to focus on which area you can delve into, what should you prioritize and what should you solve for.
We have taken all the questions.
All the questions, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.